Martin and Marlow, episode 22. Martin Kilcoyne, Charlie Marlow with you. A late week edition. I apologize, but we were talking a little baseball with the White Rat, Whitey Herzog, and then sort of stumbled into this story about Chris Kerber, who lost his voice, ended up having surgery, couldn't talk for 10 days, at which we all know Kerbs loves to talk. He's heard all the jokes. But, Chuck, you're in the three-hole. A lot of thunder when you're in the three-hole. You're a big bat, a lot counted on. I'm expecting you to drive some runs in today, buddy.
You got damage in the two-hole, and then back in the day, Tony La Russa liked to bat Albert third if he had the pitcher batting eighth, because then after the lineup turns, that nine-hole hitter is your leadoff, right? And then that turns Albert into the four-hitter.
And
so,
I think
there you go.
And I think McGuire, he always hit. Everybody said he should be hitting fourth. He's a cleanup hitter. And La Russa said, I like him in the first inning because pitchers had to think about it. And if you think about it, it actually makes sense.
Absolutely. And I think nowadays, as we now get into a hardcore baseball conversation right off the bat, I think you want your best hitters to get as many ABs as possible, which is why you see nowadays some of the best hitters in baseball. You'll see a Mookie Betts batting leadoff. You'll see the Cubs will bat Anthony Rizzo leadoff every once in a while. And then sometimes you now have your best hitter overall batting second, that damage in the two-hole.
This is episode. We'll talk hardcore baseball maybe on another show. I don't know if I know enough to talk hardcore baseball. Oh, by the way, the Golden Gloves handed out the other night. You were making fun of it on Twitter. People were making fun of it on election night. Like, good God, baseball, figure it out. I actually disagree because there was nothing else sports-wise going on. For one, it gave me some material to use, selfishly. But I think sports fans who were craving something to talk about or information, and it affects a lot of people and a lot of teams because you got 9 winners in each league, so every team might have somebody in the mix or a favorite player or whatever. So I'm glad they did it selfishly. But do you think it was a bad idea? Do you think they regret it?
Oh, it probably doesn't matter. And I was half kidding. I do think the election is so important, especially the presidential election every 4 years, that I like that some of these sports leagues and NCAA have said basically, look, we're not going to do anything on this day. Let our players vote and kind of focus on that. But I get the point where you're not really getting any election returns or any information until about 7 o'clock anyway. So, okay, if you do the Gold Gloves earlier, it's something to talk about. But hell, now, I feel like if you did anything sports-wise in the next couple of days after, everybody's just waiting for the election results. Everybody's kind of glued to the TV. So I can see how having anything to talk about right now is probably a good thing as we all just sit here and wait on the results.
And I know the election didn't come and go on Tuesday night. It's carried on. But once it ended, so the negative ads, the political ads, which are hilarious because, we're on TV, we're in the studio, so you constantly are consuming the ads right before you come on with your show. And they would go back to back. So-and-so's a piece of garbage. And then the next spot would be for so-and-so, like, I'm here because I believe in America. I mean, it's unbelievable. Those are gone, thankfully, although it probably paid our salary. So I'm glad they come back every 4 years, every 2 years, whatever it takes. But I also was so freaking tired of everybody on Twitter. Don't forget to vote. Get out and vote. I wanted to tweet something sarcastic saying, boy, if only people would remind us to vote. I understand it's a big election. I voted. My wife voted. My mom kept saying, when are you going? When are you going? When time are you voting? I sent her a picture of me wearing the sticker. I get it. It was important. But did everybody I know, everybody I don't know have to go on Twitter and say, make sure you vote. Get out and vote. Make sure you vote. Get out and vote. It's really the message was loud and clear.
Yeah, and I have to say, as somebody, I do like social media, but really only Twitter. I'm not on Instagram. I think Facebook is a cesspool. I do think, though, the whole I voted sticker has become this thing that I believe is very played out. So even though I got the sticker, I made sure I did not post a picture of me with the sticker because I'm not trying to rip on people if you did that, but it's just such a played out type thing. I think unless it's your first time ever voting, if you're a first time voter, wear the sticker, be proud. Other than that, isn't it just kind of part of this look at me, social media, vapid culture that we have? Don't you think?
Yes, I do. And how about the video of your polling place? Okay, I get it. Look, right now, lines aren't bad. Oh, lines are terrible. I waited 3 hours. I waited 30 minutes. Look here. I guess at its root, it could be informational. Like, hey, letting people know I'm at such and such spot. But really, again, it's people like that just can't help it. Like, look, I'm wearing new shoes. It fits into that whole same bucket to me of people. Look at me. I'm voting. I'm waiting in line. I'm willing to wait in line. Look, I'm so goddamn special. I'm waiting in line. That also wore me out. Maybe I just hate everybody and hate everything.
I also hate everybody and hate everything. I do think if you have other people going to different polls, as you said, hey, look, this polling place is only 15 minutes. And then also, I do think around the country, how long you have to potentially wait is a big issue. And we shouldn't have to wait, in my opinion. Should you ever have to wait more than like 30 minutes to vote? I think that's a big problem, especially not everybody has all this time on their hands. You don't have a day off work. Maybe you have to go early, drop the kids off. So I don't think anybody should ever have to wait more than about 30 minutes to vote.
And I love the people who volunteer, who are there. But it's unbelievable how it's I guess it's retired folks who have time to do it. And it just, now that it's spilled over into like they're still counting votes, it's so freaking important. I understand that. But it does feel like an SNL skit because all of us picture going to your polling place and these wonderful people. And there's Betty over there and there's Dolores. And now I'm picturing they're counting the votes, whatever state or county we're talking about right now where they're still counting votes. I just picture some of these wonderful old ladies that I see every year. And they're like, where the hell's Dolores? Well, she's making cookies. What kind do you guys want her to? Get her ass in here. Wolf Blitzer's blowing up my phone. It feels like an SNL skit. Like if you and I were counting the votes, we'd spill salsa on the votes. And it'd be, I mean, you said it to me off air the other day. You said there is always going to be some human element. But it does seem to me like we got to have a more progressive, like those are machines over there. The ballots get fed in. You can do 5,000 ballots per minute because you feed them into the machine. There's got to be a uniform way to do this.
And I'm going to both sides this to not piss anybody off. But go back to 2000, the first election I was able to vote in, all the craziness with Bush versus Gore. Okay, to this day, Democrats will say, oh, we got cheated. And Republicans will say, oh, we won that. And now, 20 years later, if Biden wins, Democrats will say, we won. And Republicans will probably say they got screwed and there was cheating because they're counting the ballots after the fact. To me, they're just counting. There's always going to be human error, and you're going to miss a couple ballots. That's why when there's recounts, maybe you pick up 50 ballots or 300. You don't pick up 20,000. You don't pick up 40,000. I don't think there's any widespread fraud whatsoever. And all these three states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, went so close to Trump 4 years ago. I don't think it's a big surprise that they may go very close to Biden 4 years later. But I was watching, I think it was CNN, and they were in one of the centers where they're counting. And as you said, like, here are these people that everybody's ripping on in social media. You got protesters outside banging on the door, and here are these senior citizens with masks spending hours for minimum wage just opening up envelopes. That's all they're doing. All they do is open the envelope, and they take the ballot, and they kind of flatten it there. Imagine just your fingers are probably bleeding. They're all brittle. They're just sitting there opening envelopes. That's all they're doing.
Right. I am in defense of those people. It does feel like an SNL skit, and I think people just need to better understand. It should be every state, every county says, here's what happens. We have mail-in ballots. They're all due by this time. They have to be postmarked by this date. Whatever. It's all uniform. Here's when they're allowed. The military is allowed to send them. Of course, you want their votes. Here's when they have to send them by. We actually give them an earlier date so we can get them and process them because we really want their votes because they're serving our country. Just have like all these things that are standard. Everybody knows the rule. And then we don't have to sit and go, oh, look at Betty over there. Oh, she just dropped a ballot. I saw it live on CNN. She dropped a freaking ballot. It's, and I don't know what SNL is going to do this weekend, but there's just, they may need to do 3 hours. The sad thing is it shouldn't be this funny. I just think it should be more uniform. And I know you love this stuff. You're kind of a politics junkie. Would you say that a little bit?
I am. I love it. It's kind of in my family a little bit. My dad's dad was in the Ohio House of Representatives back in the day, so I've always been into it. And, it's fun to watch. I just think that we did a really bad job as a country this year of managing expectations of how this election would go. And when there were people that said, hey, can we start counting these ballots early, I actually understand why you don't allow that. Because look, what if they start counting these mail-in ballots 3 days early? You don't think there's a way for that information to leak out to either party and say, hey, we're down 55-43, or we're up 56. Like, you could see that information getting out there. So I'm actually fine with the fact that they're waiting until after the polls close to count them. But I feel like as Americans, we all should have known this was going to be the case, because now people are like, what's going on here? And like, what do you expect when you have all these people mailing in these ballots and they're literally cracking open these envelopes on that day, like millions of them?
What about Alaska? I mean, I think I could count the vote. Like, hey, Bill, who'd you vote for? Over there, the guy. I mean, are the moose voting? Like, okay, there can't be that many votes. Martin Marlow, as always, presented by our great sponsors, Triad Bank, Marie de Villa Senior Living, B&G Tuck Pointing, and Appliance Discounters. And the great Marlow moments. So many. I can't even mention them all already. But who are the moments presented by?
Kennelwood Pet Resorts, of course. Been going there for 6 years for our dog Otis. Boarding, grooming, day camp, training. Corner Butcher in Fenton, my favorite spot. I go there about once a week for all kinds of, they got everything, all the meat that you could want. They have the boar's head, meats and cheeses. They even have pies there. They have the best hummus I've ever had, this black bean hummus, which you wouldn't think you go to a butcher shop to get that. But they have everything. Corner Butcher in Fenton, and then, of course, St. Louis Lawn Care and St. Louis Equipment, all your lawn care treatment. And then if you need a mower or some lawn equipment, I know they fix yours, Martin. And also, I'm about to buy one of those industrial leaf blowers so I can just take care of all of my leaves on my own real quick. Because the ones you get, those leaf blowers you buy at a box store, they're not powerful enough usually, and the battery life is not long enough. I need like one of the big dogs.
All right, a couple of more election-related, not really politically charged thoughts, but the big winner, clearly John King. It seems like, and he's not new. He's been around for a long time, and everybody's got these magic boards. We're old enough. We love Tim Russert with the old grease board. I actually think that might still be valuable because you can just scribble it as quick as you can. Tim Russert sort of invented the pundit, number crunching guy and still miss him election. Chuck Dowd, I don't get it at all. John King has been around, but for whatever reason, it seems like am I wrong? I mean, he's 59, but everybody is now like, they just discovered this guy.
I've always loved John King, and I usually do watch CNN. Now, I know Bill Hemmer, I think, is also very good on the big board with Fox News. I don't really watch MSNBC, but I feel like John King kind of started the touch map, and so he's the GOAT of touch maps, and everybody kind of follows him. And I remember going back 4 years where he just knows something about every county. And so all the jokes was like, John King knows where you live. John King doesn't need Google Maps. He can tell you about your house and things like that. And I remember 4 years ago, because nobody thought Trump was going to win. And so Wolf Blitzer would say, hey, John, what's up in this county? And every time John would touch the county and say, oh, and it would be a big surprise that Hillary Clinton wasn't winning. And I remember Wolf Blitzer, like his mind exploding, like he couldn't believe it. I was like, John, refresh that. See what I mean? That's got to be wrong, right? And like you could see, like John's
that over there, a computer?
Right. And like Wolf Blitzer was losing his mind on air because he could not believe Hillary was losing, and John's like, no, this is it. And he was just like giving the straight facts. I also think he's not biased. Like I don't find him biased when I watch him on the touch map.
He's just reading the numbers as they come in. The Bin Laden story, I don't know the exact details. I had read something about it. Brian Williams even told a story. I think it was true. And he told a story on the night of Bin Laden's death. It was a Sunday night. And I remember that because Geraldo Rivera did the coverage for Fox, which is a whole nother story. But they said top-level network people got a text from like top-level White House staffers. And all it said was, get to work now. And if you're Brian Williams or Tom Brokaw, whoever all the top network anchors, and Brokaw was gone by then. But I'm just saying, if you get that, I'm going to work. But the story was like John King and his buddies were like at a bar or like hanging out or something. I thought he said he had to miss it because he had been out. And then I was reading some stuff. People were saying they actually wondered if he had been out with his buddy. There's something like that, which makes me like him even more.
I remember watching that. And again, I don't want to throw out an allegation, but I think maybe he had been out and about because that would
Let's go to the touch screen here. Okay, this bar, it appears, okay, I've got 6 pints of Guinness taken down. I got a pitcher of Miller Lite. Okay, let's keep adding up.
And I don't know if this is the reason, but if you ever watch the show, The Newsroom, Aaron Sorkin, And this was after the Bin Laden story, because, I mean, just a few years after they do this show, and a lot of it is about recent history. And on the night of Bin Laden, in the show The Newsroom, the actor Jeff Daniels, who played the big news anchor, I'm pretty sure he was high. And a lot of CNN people, I think, were involved in kind of behind the scenes consulting that show. So I always wondered if that was kind of an homage to John King potentially drinking that night, and then the Jeff Daniels character having to go in on the night of Bin Laden, and he was high because he had some pot brownies or something like that.
There was a Diane Sawyer election night, wasn't there, where everyone said she'd had wine? We should find.
Why not?
We should
Who cares?
We should have. And I think she, at that point too, she'd been around forever. She could probably do whatever she wanted. But look at these results. Oh, New Mexico, you're late again. Like, just, I gotta find the audio. That's how I remember it in my head. All right, one more non-political but related. Melania. I told you this last night on Twitter. 15.7 million followers, not a shocker, First Lady, follows 8 people. I love the ratio. I like to look at people like, who do they follow when they have millions and millions of followers? She follows the White House History tweets, National Institute of Health, Mike Pence, First Lady Pence, which, have we ever seen First Lady? Has anybody?
Karen?
Is that her name?
I believe it's Karen.
Oh, is she a Karen?
Well, he calls her mama, right?
First Lady Pence. She follows Donald Trump. It's part of the agreement. And then Barack Obama. Doesn't that surprise you? Like, I would think Trump would tell her to get that off there. Is it just to keep an eye on him? Isn't that a weird combo? White House, Trump, Pence, and Obama.
I wonder if did she initially follow Michelle Obama, but then after all the blowback that she allegedly plagiarized her speech? I'm good with it. I wish all these politicians were a little more amicable to each other, so I'm totally good with it.
The fountains and flags outside invite you in. Once inside, it's obvious what makes Marita Villa so special. It's the people that live there and the people that work there. I know for a fact it's a fun place to visit, been there many times over the years for special events, and you can tell the residents love it as well. Welcoming atmosphere, providing all types of senior living, independent living, skilled nursing, memory care. Marie de Villa Senior Living, that's what we're talking about. A single location. That means ownership is hands-on. The residents here are considered guests, and trust me, they feel that way. The beautiful grounds make it more of a campus-type atmosphere. I love calling it the Marie de Villa campus, located at the corner of Clayton and Weidman Road. I guarantee you've driven by there, probably seen the fountains going. Red for October baseball, blue when the Blues are deep into a playoff run. It's a family-owned facility. It's been in business since 1960, and for so many years, it was home to the Cardinals legend, Red Schoendienst. I encourage you to take a virtual tour or simply to read more about this special place. Go to mariedevilla.com. You love sports? Sure. But what you really love is a winning team and a great story. That's exactly what you get with Appliance Discounters. It started with just 3 employees. One location, 3 employees. Denise Bradley, her husband John, her brother Tony. That's it. More than a decade ago. And for years, you've heard me talking about them. Here's why. My dishwasher, it's a Bosch, the quietest dishwasher on the market. Remember Grandma's dishwasher always, That's not what's going on with us. We got it at Appliance Discounters. Our washer, our dryer, our stove, and our refrigerator, and Electrolux. Yes, the Kilcoins put these babies to the test. During the quarantine, the MVP at our house, the dishwasher, it got a workout. We've got big name brands we're talking about at a great price. St. Charles, Baldwin, Maplewood, South County, and in the city. The best bet, just get online. TheApplianceDiscounters.com. Our savings are your savings. The best in the bricks. It's more than just a slogan. Why not make your home or garage or chimney look its best by fixing the bricks? That's what B&G Tuck Pointing can do for you. Bricks look their best with proper tuck pointing. Call Rich Galati and his team at 314-363-0525. And by team, of course, we include his daughters Bella and Gabrielle. Or go online, bgtuckpointing.com. A proud St. Louis-based company that supports the hometown St. Louis Blues. Yes, they love their hockey. Chimney repair, foundation repair, caulking, waterproofing. They do it all. Have you driven around St. Louis? We have a lot of brick buildings, and if they need repair, you know who to call. Consider me among the many satisfied customers. Call 363-0525, 363-0525, or go online, bgtuckpointing.com, and find out what it means to be the best in the bricks. All right, let's talk a little sports. Not a real surprise. Bragging rights game at Enterprise Center, not going to happen. Mizzou and Illinois were scheduled to play December 19th. Your Bradley Braves will be playing at Columbia December 22nd. Will you be? What do you think? Lead story that night?
What kind of a day is that? I'd like to go see that game, honestly.
I think it's a Tuesday, not to be Rain Man.
Well, I'll tell you what. If I'm working Tuesday, I wouldn't mind going down there for sure.
The bragging rights game off. However, we're told Mizzou and Illinois are talking about playing, and I think this has to do with fans because at St. Louis City, you're probably going to get a really limited amount. The other thing was I was told Backstoppers, which it's going to be virtual this year, they were approved for like 1,100 fans. They said, all right, well, we're not going to make any money. That's a waste. But Illinois and Mizzou are saying, let's try and do this either in Champaign or in Columbia. So Mizzou and Illinois could still play. It's just that they won't be doing it at the Enterprise Center. Turkey Day game, Kirkwood-Webster, still scheduled to happen. We're back to like April where it's like COVID sports headlines. Doesn't it feel that way?
It does. And I was at CBC and DeSmet. And when you're just talking to people, everybody is just hoping and praying they can get through football playoffs. Here we are in week 2. They waited so long. All these teams know that just any given day, like what happened with Kirkwood last week, you can have a game canceled that night. And so everybody obviously wants to get through this season and have a state champion. And then here comes basketball, and who the hell knows what's going to happen with hoops.
All right, in baseball, we mentioned it last week, the Kolten Wong option not picked up. And the Cardinals have been really good and been really lucky. Some of the big contracts that they swung and missed on, even Jason Hayward, maybe even Stanton, they got lucky, didn't get saddled with the contract. But right now, a lot of their optics are bad. We've talked a lot about Arozarena. We talked how Ozuna took off or had a huge year for Atlanta. But Kolten Wong, the guy you cut loose, then wins his second Gold Glove, and he told the TV station in Honolulu, there are about 6 teams already coming after me. If Wong signs somewhere and gets a little bit of money, if Molina goes somewhere else, I can't imagine. I think they want Molina back, of course. Can they work it out? I think Yachty, we've talked about it, will probably drive a harder bargain than a Wainwright would in terms of the dollars and less incentives, that kind of thing. But I just think right now the optics on the Cardinals have been horrible for about a month or so.
Agreed. And I just wonder if Yachty goes somewhere else, because couldn't you see Yachty getting ticked off with the negotiations? And if he thinks the Cardinals are being cheap, I could see him going somewhere else. And as much as the Cardinals probably want to keep him for baseball reasons and also a bit of legacy reasons, at the end of the day, I don't think the Cardinals and John Mozeliak would be that mad if they said, hey, Andrew Kisner now has a shot to play. And then maybe you bring back Matt Wieters, right? And I think they want to give Andrew Kisner at bats. And then with Waino, I agree, he'd probably come back on a reasonable salary, but you just wonder, is there that pull to go to Atlanta? I just think for somebody like that, would he want to kind of finish where it started? You could go both ways. I'm sure Adam Wainwright, if he were able to retire and never play a Major League Baseball game for anybody but the Cardinals, that would be pretty cool. But if you couldn't make that happen, the next best would probably be going back home and playing a year or two with the Atlanta Braves. And in my opinion, if the Cardinals don't sign Adam Wainwright or Yadier Molina, I don't think they're going to do anything. I don't think they're going to bring one player on board. Is that crazy? I mean, I don't think they're going to do one thing this year. I think it's all about saving money.
Kolten Wong could come back. John Mozeliak left that door open, although I read it as, hey, Tommy Edmonds, our second baseman, we're saving money, and that's one place we can save money. Whitey Herzog said, I wouldn't rule it out. He could come back. Bob Nightingale said he could come back. And then Whitey had an idea. He said, here's what I would do. And Whitey's going to be 89. He still is so unbelievably knowledgeable on baseball. It's insane. He said, why not go to a guy? Because what do players want? Is probably some guaranteed money, right? You want a chance at guaranteed money. Cardinals want to save money in the short term. So what if you said, all right, 4 years, $40 million. Next year, you're only making 5 or 6. The year after that, we'll pay 8 or 9. But a couple years down the road, he's a bargain. He's getting older. And then say the last couple of years, we'll throw 12 or 13 at you. you're 31, you're 33, you're 34. By then we're probably about done with you. But that's a pretty friendly deal to the team next year, $5 or $6 million, and the player might take it just knowing he gets a lump.
Yeah, I just wonder with Kolten Wong, I wonder if him not being picked up in terms of his option, did they get bit a little bit by what happened with Matt Carpenter, where they signed Matt Carpenter before they needed to, right? And that's blown up in their face. So maybe they wait on Kolten Wong, and then all of a sudden the pandemic changes all the math, because Kolten Wong always felt like a guy to me where the Cardinals would, like last year, have said, hey, you got a $12.5 million option. Let's roll that into, as you said, I don't know, a 4-year, $36 million deal. That always felt like the kind of deal that Kolten would get, but then he hits free agency, and now I totally understand, because of the pandemic, why the Cardinals did not pick up his option for this year. I don't necessarily agree with it. I understand it. I still think if you pick up that option, couldn't you have traded that to another team for an asset coming back? I just feel like Kolten Wong coming off 2 Gold Gloves is still pretty valuable to another team.
It's about to be a slow sports time. We'll be waiting for the NBA, waiting for NHL. Hopefully college football gets through with some of the COVID outbreaks, but it's going to be a little slow. But promise me this, Chuck, because there's sports radio out there. They got to fill time, and I think they're afraid to just talk about Betty and Dolores. We're not afraid to talk about Betty and Dolores. Let's be honest. Mm-hmm. But I don't ever want to get to the point, and you flip around, and it'll be like, okay, your choice. Would you rather be eaten by an alligator or eat a peanut butter and jelly with pickles? Let's never do that. Can we vow? If I ever do that, take this recorder and smash me in the skull.
What do we used to call that? 3rd-hour topic. If you're doing
Is that really? That's an 8th-hour topic. I'm sorry.
But if you're doing a 3-hour radio show and there's not a lot going on, that first hour is usually news of the day. Second hour, you mix a guest in. Next thing you know, you're in the 3rd hour. That final segment, you got nothing. And that usually is, what do you like better, syrup or ranch dressing? Something like that.
Would you put syrup on carrots or ranch dressing on your pancakes? Think about it.
That's the type of thing of, for the rest of your life, you have Wendy's, McDonald's, and Burger King.
And you can only, for the rest of your life,
just
one time.
Right.
The great Brian Ledford is walking by as we record this. Shout out. Roller Derby will be back soon. Just wait for it. It's going to come back. Lastly, I have a tip here from Marlow Management, okay?
Ooh.
The aspiring, you're a young Trump. You've got a real estate empire.
Don't put me in his camp. I'm a very good landlord. I get everything fixed. I work with my tenants.
That's not what I'm hearing. I'm hearing terrible things.
Hey, first of all, it's a tough time right now in that market, but I try to be as nice as possible.
So there was a tweet. I follow all these Ireland tweets just because a lot of times it's scenery of Ireland. It's kind of fun to look at, but they were saying something about Guinness and how it's been headquartered there in Dublin since the 1700s, and they said ever since Sir Alec Guinness, whoever the hell it was back then, signed a 9,000-year lease. So if you, maybe in the fine print, your tenants aren't always paying attention. I said the Rams needed, that's what St. Louis should have done. Sign them to, don't let them read the fine print. A 9,000-year lease. This is my tip for you as we close things out.
Okay, real quick. Whenever you want to close things out, I always add another little story. But because you brought up Guinness, I was in Dublin for St. Patrick's Day. I believe it was 2004. It was my senior year in college, and me and a couple of buddies went. We go to the Guinness factory. It's cool. We're there in Dublin, St. Patrick's Day. We're at a pub. And, when you're in Ireland, you're drinking Guinness most of the time. So we're all drunk on St. Patty's Day, shocking. And I remember saying to the bartender, everybody's in there, everybody's loud, it's cramped together. And I say, yeah, give me, 3 Guinness. And he says something back, and I couldn't remember what he said. And I thought he said, we're out of Guinness. Now, mind you, we're in Dublin, blocks away from the Guinness factory. And so I said, what? You're out of Guinness? Because I couldn't hear him. And he comes back, he goes, out of Guinness on St. Patty's Day, matey, or laddie? Don't think so.
Dumbass.
Yeah, he's like, out of Guinness on St. Patty's Day? Don't think so, laddie. And I was just like, yeah, that was like the dumbest thing I've ever said.
Check your hearing, son, or don't have 42 Guinness.
Correct.
Slightly related, similar. I know we got to go. Wrap it up real quick. We're up against it. Mm-hmm. We're up against it, even though we're recording this. It doesn't matter how long it goes. Up against it, radio guy. Cousin John and I were in Galway, and we ordered some Jameson. And the woman bartender said, oh, friend of the North. We ordered Bushmills. And she said, friend of the North, are you? We said, what's that? No, let's have some Bushmills on, maybe on the rocks. And she goes, nope, not doing that here. I said, she said, yep, sounds like a friend of the North, huh? And it was a lesson to me, Chuck, that it's still the old days in Ireland.
And so you
terrible ending to what was a fun story, terrible ending.
You had to drink
we had to drink
Jameson.
we drank Jameson.
I get
which is
it.
fine.
I get it. And they get a little kickback probably too.
All right, this was fun. Apologies to Dolores, Doris, and Betty, and the whole crew there. Viva la elections. Chuck, we'll talk to you next week.
Great stuff.